What have I done? This is the new project. So I bought this, I think it was 2016 or 17, maybe even 18, a while ago. I was inexperienced with working on cars, and a really good deal for an E24 came up on Marketplace. I've been on the hunt for one for quite a while, although my budget was around 6-7 grand back then. This came up for, I think it was like €3,000 or something like that, which worked out about £2,400. I offered him, I think, the equivalent to £2,100, and he accepted. Pictures on the advert made the car look pretty decent, and here, like, everything was there. I didn't know this car at all. Didn't know the plot very well. I do love BMWs, I've had plenty of them, but I did not know anything about the E24, so I was kind of going blind. I wasn't handy with tools or with, working on cars back then. I was kind of just trying to learn. So I reached out to this guy on Marketplace who was selling this, and arranged to meet him in Dublin. All seemed well on the way down, all was grand. I met him at his garage where a mechanic was working on something underneath. Saw the car, it was not in as good condition as it looked in the photos. I was immediately put off, but then I remembered the price was so cheap that couldn't really go wrong, even in parts. It's worth £2,000. So I did the deal, and it was nice of him. He actually offered to give us a lift back on the back of a lorry with the car. We didn't have to drive it, weren't taking unnecessary risks. Got the car home, sort of did a look around the car, realised I'm in this too deep, but started to work at it anyway. It was missing all of these chrome trims, missing loads of interior parts. He gave me 2 boxes full of like the crustiest, most rusty pieces of garbage ever, and it took me a long time to sort of go through it all and figure out what I needed to buy. I used Real OEM, the website, to basically put in the last 7 digits of chassis number, and you bring up the schematics of the car and every single thing on the vehicle, and that's how I figured out what I was missing, just by going through every single breakdown on every single sort of part of the car. A lot of orders later, I mean a lot, I spent probably another 5 or 6 grand on the car, just parts, which immediately made it not worth buying. I should have just went for a much better, much more sought after complete car with probably similar miles. In fairness now, this car only has 110,000 miles. It was driving, it needed a lot of work to sort of make it tidy and safe to drive. I cleaned it up, put new wheels on it, because the wheels that were on it, these TRX alloys, which you can see here. So the tyres are all cracked, very, very old. So I put other wheels on it, and I just took it for a drive to make sure everything was okay. Car drove fine, changed through gears fine. I serviced the engine, serviced the gearbox, serviced the diff. The more I looked underneath it, the more I saw just horror everywhere. It was crusty everywhere, it was dirty everywhere. The story with this car is that whenever he bought the car, he brought it to a garage, asked them to paint to do work to it. Obviously he went down to have a look at it, and he wasn't happy with the job and refused to pay them for their work, which, believe me, I would have done the exact same thing. The paint job was horrendous whenever I got it, and there's still rust places, but really dodgy welding done, panels cut out, welded in shoddy in the floor. So it sat there for, I think, 11 years or something like that, and then the garage that had the car sold the whole garage to a new owner, which is the guy I bought it off, and he just flipped the car. He applied for a logbook, flipped the car. I then bought the car off him and re-registered it back in the UK, which was very easy because it was already a UK car. So I was able to move the car into my name on the UK plate. The original plate is a very cool 6-digit plate, TSV 532. You'll see it on the car, so I don't mind giving it. So I was pretty happy with that. Then it became an even bigger ordeal for me. So the car was driving, enjoying sort of pitter-pattering about in it. It needed MOT'd. It hadn't been MOT'd since 2009. So I did a quick check on its previous history, and all the rust and rot and all that was there. So I spoke to a friend of mine who said that they could work on this type of car and rust and whatever, and we agreed a price, and he got to work on it, and did brilliant welding. The welding work was fantastic. The agreement was that he would do all the welding work, his friend would do all the body work, and then another friend would paint it. This is where it all went wrong. I left it with him to do all the welding work, which he did. He dropped the engine out of the car, the chassis leg, and he welded in here as well. That got repaired, and then so while the engine was out, the bodywork guy came down and started all the bodywork. This rolled into being a year or so of time. It should have been a lot quicker, but for some reason it ended up taking a lot longer. After the year or so, it then went to another friend's yard to get painted, where it sat for another year. This friend was too busy to paint a car. That's the way he started new business at the time, so he was painting it for me in a bit of a favour. That ended up falling through, and I got another friend to paint it, and he did a brilliant job in the paintwork. There is a few wee dents and things here. The black, because it's been painted black, it was red originally. Because it's been painted black, we're seeing a lot of the marks in the bodywork, which should have really been fixed by the bodywork guy, but it is what it is. There's also a lot of dents, I think, that happened after the guy that did the bodywork. It sat in another guy's yard for a while, and I think he just threw things at it and set things on it and didn't really give a shit about it, to be honest. But then I went to Michael Bates. Michael Bates did a fantastic job painting it. Thank you, Michael. And this is where it is now. I've got it home. It needs sorted through big time. There's so much still missing. There's no roof cloth in the car. From what I gather, these roof cloths were like molded into like soft tissue thing, which stuck on, molded into the shape of the roof. I don't know whether I've customized that or I haven't seen one for sale. I can't even get a part number for it. But I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But this is the E24. It's a 1979 model, which is the Mark 1. It is impossible to find parts for this. It's based on the E12 chassis, BMW E12, which is like 70s 5 Series. And with it being based on the 70s 5 Series, there's a Haynes manual for the 5 Series, but there's not the 6 Series because it was only a short run for the E12 based E24. Then they brought it into the newer chassis of E24, which is the most common one and really easy to get parts for, which I wish I bought that one because this is just being a rigmarole trying to get parts for it, but we're here. There is a number of things that need fixed on this. You'll see in the video today, we put the drive shaft on, we fit the exhaust back on, we diagnosed the problem of not starting.
Here is the 6 Series whenever we first picked it up in Dublin. As you can see, it was red with black stripes and it kind of looks, like everything's there, but whenever I got home and realised all the trim pieces weren't there around the windows and things, I quickly panicked and added up what turned out to be an extortionate amount of money to get these trim pieces. I was even down in Cork picking up bits and ordering from places in England and speaking to people in Lithuania and Poland, America, trying to get parts. Because this is the earlier car, it's just a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. If I was to do it again, I would definitely buy the newer 635 versus the old 635. But this car, it is what it is. We've started. I bought it. I've put the money into it. It's sat around for a few years. So let's just jump into it. This is a bit of a rat's nest of wires because the engine was dropped out, nothing was reconnected very well. Whoever the previous owner was, thank you for painting the engine red and then black, and I think possibly red again. There's some red on top of the black. Just terrible decisions made, I think, by this guy, but it is what it is. We'll get a dry ice blaster on the channel and we will clean this engine bay up like brand new. You will probably see some red down here as well where he's decided to paint things and spray everywhere, overspray on the radiator, and yeah, it's just a disaster everywhere. So yeah. So this is the start of the E24 series where we get this car back on the road. In this video you'll see us put on the drive shaft, which was lost originally by the guy who did the welding. I've had to order a new one from America and it just arrived today. So we're going to stick the drive shaft on, put the original exhaust back on, and then start troubleshooting with why it won't start and try and get it in a good working condition and driving condition before we spend any more money on any bits and pieces. As you can see, it has 111,000 miles on the clock. The engine's very good. It just needs overhauled, completely overhauled. There's no roof liner, as you can see, and all the sort of interior trim bits are all off the car, but that was me. I removed all that whenever we were trying to work through the car and strip it down for painting. I put a new carpet in as well. It didn't actually have a carpet whenever I got the car. And as you see, the engine is an absolute rat's nest of wires and terribly painted. So yeah, here we go. I do really like these wheels. We may send them off to be customised and made into deep dish wheels, but for now I have a set of wheels planned. And in theme with the mess of the car, we had to retime the engine and sort the firing order as it was all put back in wrong as well. The interior is just as bad as the rest of it, but those Recaro seats, we have to put better rails on it, and I'm going to get them reupholstered. As you can see there, there's the Haynes manual or Bentley manual, I can't remember which one, that has all the goodies in it, all the information to try and get the car sorted. This is all the boxes of trims and interior parts, drive shaft, as you can see on the ground there, that we have to install, and this is a boot full of random bits and pieces as well, which all have to go into the car. I don't think there's anything left in the toolkit. I'll have a look here and see, but doubtful. No, nothing in it. So yeah, we're missing a lot. We'll get all of the main bits done. We'll get the car driving, get the gears all selected nicely, and get the new wheels on it. Here's a wee quick video round the underside of the car. It's not in the worst condition. It's certainly not great. Everything could do with being freshly overhauled. Exhaust is missing. Drive shaft is missing. There's two parts of the drive shaft. The guy lost the front half, I think it was. I was able to order one from America to replace that one. Jumping right in, I start to fit the drive shaft and make a funny mistake. Let's see if you notice it. So, jumping the gun, rushing through this. Can anyone spot what I've done wrong? Leave a comment in the comment section below. Fitting the front half of the drive shaft was a bit tricky because the rear subframe, where the diff basically comes out to meet the first half of the drive shaft, has like a little surround around it, which makes it really hard to get the shaft in on both sides. So you have to use a pry bar, and it took me quite a bit of messing around here. Unfortunately, my roof in my garage isn't high enough to put the car fully up, so that's why I have to kind of work on my knees or work on a rolling stool. So that is all 4 bolts at the diff in place and tightened, and then the 3 at the front are in and tightened. That was a bit of bollocks today, and as you can see, I fixed my mistake. Complete rookie error. Just need to tighten these up now, and we will replace this. I've ordered parts, but we'll replace this eventually, just not yet. Drive shaft is in. And while I'm doing the 6 Series, Martin is under here somewhere. No, he's not. Say hello, Martin.
Hello.
Martin's doing the leaf springs on the van. And we are going to fit this lovely stainless steel exhaust. It all needs polished. It's very dirty, but it has the nice cut at an angle tips. This thing looks class when it's on. So yeah, we'll take this around and get it installed. Having a new garage built with all of my new tools and things, it makes life so much easier. So I used a jack stand for gearboxes to basically hold the exhaust at one end while I fitted it up at the other end. The front was 6 bolts with nuts and crush washers, and the back end was a single bolt in a leather strap. Believe it or not, it's just old technology, old school sort of methods, but this leather strap hanging down bolts onto the little metal hanger, and then there's 2 rubber exhaust hangers which are holding the back box on. Exhaust is fitted. We've had to use cable ties here because we've got no rubber bungs, but we're not starting the car today probably. Exhaust is in, plumbed all the way to the front. And then off the engine. So we're undoing the fuckery. This last person working on it had this all wrong. He had it number 1 up here when number 1 is down here. So we're now going to change this. One of the leads as well was a wee bit mangled, so we're going to change that as well. But Martin here, enjoying his lunch. We're going to get this started hopefully today. So we start off pretty happy here, thinking we've got a plan to fix the car. We check fuel, spark, air, all reading okay. The fuel is getting to the fuel rail to the injectors, and the injectors are whenever we probe them, is injecting fuel, but the problem is something is stopping the injectors from opening and firing.
We have tried relays, we have checked all wiring, we've obviously connected all grounds, make sure they're all good, replaced the battery, we've went through everything, we checked, probed the injectors are firing, the car will start on that, but it just won't keep running. So we were thinking maybe there's a problem with the ECU, which there may well be, so we've ordered a new ECU to test, but while that's coming, we decided to dive a bit deeper. We found that the water coolant sensor, temperature sensor, wasn't getting any resistance, so we have ordered one of those. This is the coolant temperature sensor, which we have diagnosed as being faulty. I've ordered a new one of these. It should be here this week, so all being well, we fit this and it fires the engine up. So unfortunately we are at the end of the day and we didn't get the engine started. We figured it out though. Basically the L-Jetronic, the injectors won't fire unless you have a signal from the airflow meter and from the coolant temperature sensor. We did a resistor test on the temperature sensor and it's just not working, so we've ordered a new one of those. All the other relays and everything are working, everything is working bar that sensor, so we have ordered an ECU to try and just rule that out as well. But we have ordered the coolant sensor and we'll replace that this week. Hopefully in the next video we get the car running, and in the next video we are going to put a new set of wheels on and start to work on the interior. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and see you in the next one.